So this video was recorded during the week of the beta event, as I'm going to be away from my desktop for about a week right after the beta ends. I still want to make this video in spite of that, as I think it's very important to share many things that, in my opinion, must be altered before the launch of this update to make it better than it is currently. First, my overall opinion of this update is neutral negative. After all this hype and hard work Rocket put into these models, and the hard work going into cool names in the UI, it's quite apparent that most of the features added are small value changes or not very thoughtful new mechanics that overthrow the previous balance of the game in replacement for a functionally new game. Now, there are a few fun features I do like about this update. First, the ability to further customize your weapons in general, as proven by other games as well, is really cool. I enjoy this feature to a massive extent. Second, the fire after effect created by certain weapons when they fire, I also think is a cool mechanic that also took a long time to get working. Finally, the canyon map itself is a long overdue refresher to the zone control game modes, and I'm happy to see here. And I do have some suggestions to make the map's appeal last longer. Starting with the canyon map itself, a simple change I thought up to make the side alley part of the map used, I think, is a good idea. Just rotate the C zone by 45 degrees and elongate it to encompass this area. I don't know if this is possible in the current version of the game, but I doubt it's too difficult. Next, what you need to keep in mind for this video is a design bias created by this update that would perhaps not be intended. The name of this update, the attachment update, especially when shown in the dev posts, demonstrates various new features added to weapons. This is great and all, but most of the changes made are purely statistical instead of new mechanics, of which I instate my design decision for this update. This update should focus on a few major axioms. First, via this attachment system, no weapon can be upgraded or downgraded in a direct, meaningful way, example headshot damage. Second, the update should focus on adding cool new features people can make their weapons do to enrich the gameplay of the update. Third, the balance of the game must remain as the same as possible to the previous version, or be enhanced by this enriched gameplay with the intent of not messing up the hard work put into balance it previously. To clarify what a side grade is an upgrade that has an equally balanced downside to make it not more powerful overall than the starting point. For example, lethal ammo absolutely destroys this idea while attempting to do it. Amplifying headshot damage for dropping body shot damage a little bit, as well as dropping mag size a little bit, so it's more of an upgrade than a downgrade, as it's quite obviously intended as a way for skilled players to output more damage. Other changes such as splitter or automatic core plasma pistol are among the many changes that I believe need fixing, of which I'll detail later. Specifying of what I would like to see instead of value changes and instead new mechanics, we could first start at the orb raider. Posts such as the one Danator made on the forum, where he details an orb attachment that makes the orb actually drip as it flies, is a great new idea. Additionally, another core attachment to expand the radius of the orb's explosion, and perhaps a small amount of damage for no longer having 7 consecutive explosions. I call this one the unstable core, by the way. I would find refreshing for this weapon. Moving on, changes for weapons like allowing all automatic weapons to become semi-automatic as a cost for a little RPM, and trade for around 1 to 3 extra points of damage would be a great feature to see, as long as the max TTK of the weapons remains identical. Perhaps a similar model change for the light plasma as was done to the semi-automatic plasma pistol would be cool to see as well for this feature. I hope you get the point. As I'm sure plenty of talented people in the forum could dream of additional new mechanics to their favorite weapons, this is just a few from my headspace. One of this was to help explain how this update can be done to return gameplay, rather than just upgrade weapons with extra loadout point. Next, onto another issue I see with this beta is the pace of the update, and this is upon 3 prongs. First, all weapons TTK are too fast, as if Verc multiplied everything's damage about 1.25 times, just for the sake of making engagement faster. Additionally, the build mag is just too small to protect the defender against the aforementioned TTK, especially in a close range encounter, as the player cannot place more than around 4 large walls before running completely out of blocks. Lastly, the digger is way too slow to allow for meaningful digging sessions that do not either waste the user's time or lose tactical advantage. The way that this culminates is that currently the attacker has a high advantage over the defender due to these 3 changes. It is almost impossible to flee effectively due to having both the building and digging nerf, and the defender needs to also know where the attacker is and kill them for dying themselves. This creates a highly frustrating ambushed gameplay where the defender is functionally speaking pinned. This goes on to the comparison of the current release build, which shows a perfectly working and balanced version of this game, where it's hard to directly point out which weapons are specifically OP over other ones. Good job, password work, by the way. It seems highly insulting to all the time put into the previous versions of this game, to now just toss out that entire setup for a new one, seemingly because the developer got bored. I hope with all this clarified you can agree with me mostly on the changes I proposed for this update. First, all weapons' default damage, RPM, and range is to be reverted to the statistics of 1.3. Additionally, revolvers to obtain a small RPM boost to make it more competitive. Second, digging speed as well as block health and block mag size is to be reverted to the previous base statistic. For the attachments, review each and every attachment and ask upon yourself upon the axioms I described before. Functionally, does this attachment make the original weapon inferior, and is this adding a meaningful gameplay that does not overshadow the normal weapon in practice? If the first question answers no, and the second question answers yes, then this attachment is worth keeping. first, literally all the possible attachments violate this to some degree. Of course, these ammo and splitter attachments are obvious upgrades over the normal version, and this must be altered or cut. The automatic port is a special case because it can quite easily be balanced with a single value change. Reduce the RPM to around 220 to give players a reason for the higher skilled semi-automatic version. If after asking this for literally every single possible attachment in the game, including new ones, unbiased to which weapons you like personally, and then have concluded that no attachment has more upsides than downsides, then I believe this update is ready for launch. Until then, I would warn against this because it may not be in balance on the surface, but the beta definitely alters the whole direction of the game and definitely spits in the face of the previous versions. I hope that you enjoyed this video. It took a long time to record and put together. If you have any ideas for new mechanics on the attachment update, make sure to put them up on the forum. Just search the Sector Edge forum on your search engine and put them under the ideas and feedback category. Otherwise, have a good day, and I'll see you later.